We're back with another episode of Hoosier Myths and Legends.
I'm Rebecca Wilhelm.
I'm Mary Quigley.
And I'm Hope Wilhelm.
Join us as we dive into the spookier side of the Hoosier state.
So what comes to your mind when you think of Indiana? Do you think of corn? Do you think of basketball? Do you think of the Indianapolis 500? Maybe you think of famous celebrities who were born in Indiana, like John Mellencamp or Michael Jackson.
But as the saying goes, there is more than corn in Indiana. 92 counties make up the Hoosier state. In this podcast, we are going to discuss some Indiana folklore from each of these counties. If you are into tall tales, ghosts, or spooky legends, then this is a podcast you are not going to want to miss. Today we have a well-known legend for you from Boonville, the county seat of Wark County, Indiana.
Boonville, Indiana is famous for being where President Abraham Lincoln studied law. It's well known that the young future president would walk to Boonville to attend the sessions of the court. Lincoln was a self-educated man, so he would go to the court in Boonville to borrow books. Lincoln would also watch attorney John Brackenridge argue cases, most famously a murder trial that Lincoln congratulated Brackenridge when it was over for his speech. However, this is not the only legend that Boonville is famous for. Since the 1930s, a legend has persisted about a mysterious woman in black who haunts the town. So sit back, relax, and get comfortable as we bring you the legend of Boonville, Indiana's Black Annie.
I had never heard of this one.
I had not either, and actually one of our listeners sent this in to us.
Of course, we had to check it out.
And I'm so glad that we did because this legend is creepy for sure.
Our legend begins when many people began feeling that they were not alone while walking around Scales Lake Park.
There are many stories from people who say that they have experienced something strange at the Scales Lake Park and also on Old Tennyson Road.
Let's get into the history surrounding this legend.
The legend begins in the early 1900s when a wealthy doctor named Travis D. Scales and his wife Emma made their home inside the woods that is now the present-day Scales Lake Park.
This home was a magnificent two-story home, and the woods provided the couple with lots of privacy.
The Scales did not have children, but they did have a lot of hired help to help keep their home immaculate.
Local lore says that a young woman by the name of Annie was employed by the Scales.
And one evening, while the Scales were in town, their home burned to the ground under very mysterious circumstances.
Legend says that Annie was killed in the house fire.
However, a more sinister form of the legend says that Annie was already dead when the fire began, that she had been murdered, and that the fire was set to cover up the crime.
What really happened that night is something that no one knows for sure.
Shortly after the incident, Travis and Emma Scales sold their land to the state of Indiana.
The park was created as a place for families, and it has been a park ever since.
It is said that the foundation of the Scales home is the only thing that is remaining of the house.
However, that may not be the only remnant remaining of the Scales family's time in the woods.
Now, sometime around 1920, the sounds of a woman screaming could be heard from the woods there.
While the sounds of screams may be creepy and terrifying, things just got even creepier after that. We will be back with more after our short break. Hey listeners, in case you didn't know, we wrote a book. Haunted Dearborn County, Indiana is now available at all major retailers. Strange and unusual things lurk behind the calm facade of Dearborn County.
Several legends surround the Hill Forest Mansion, the home of one of Aurora's founding families.
Many have seen the ghost of a farmer and his mule at Carnegie Hall in Morse Hill.
The glowing grave at Riverview Cemetery may connect to the 1941 Agru family massacre.
St. Mary's Church Rectory is said to be haunted by the former priest, and the spirits at Whiskey's in Lawrenceburg are not just in the drinks.
Several schools in the area echo with the sounds of former students and staff, and numerous local residences house the spirits of former owners who have never left.
Join Rebecca and I on a chilling tour from Lawrenceburg to Lawrenceville and beyond. Check out HoosierMythsAndLegends.com for more details.
Things sure started to take a turn for the worse out there at Scales Lake Park after the screaming began.
What I find even creepier is that even though law enforcement would investigate these screams, no source for the screams were ever found. In the 1930s, the legends of a mysterious woman wearing all black started making its rounds. This woman in black was always seen walking along Old Tennyson Road.
In an article on 99.5 WKDQ, Boonville local historian Barbara Meyer shares an account told to her that her father-in-law experienced on Old Tennyson Road one night. Mary, you have to read this experience for our listeners.
My father-in-law, Buddy Meyer, was driving his old coupe late one night after visiting his parents on the Old Tennyson Road. As he drove towards town, suddenly out of the darkness, a figure dressed in black jumped on the running board of his car. Just before it jumped off, a puff of wind blew the long black veil aside, and he could see that the figure had no face.
Now, see that right there, that tail, that's just enough to make me avoid that road altogether.
Oh yeah, there's no way.
Yeah, I would be noping out of that. It's enough to keep me maybe from driving down it today. And interestingly, the reports of Black Annie are still told today.
All of the sightings of Black Annie occur in the same exact area.
The area reported, according to WKDQ, is always from the old cemetery down to what was once called McLemore Hill.
Warwick County and Boonville seem to have embraced this legend.
There is a Black Annie music festival and a haunted trail.
It's wild to me that this haunted trail might really be haunted.
Yeah, that's pretty crazy to think about.
I tried looking up this music festival, but it looks like the last one was held in 2021.
I noticed that as well.
If any of our listeners have information about the music festival, we would love to hear about it.
You know, I'm always on the lookout for events and places for my son's band to play.
My nephew and Becky's son Earl helped write and record our theme song.
My son's band, Lacey Lane, their first EP, it's called Uh-Oh, Sweetwater Sessions, releases today.
If any of our listeners are rock and roll fans, check out Lacey Lane on social media or on the band's website, LaceyLaneBand.com.
So if any of you are in the Batesville, Indiana area tonight, we are having a release party at Benny's Bar and Grill out in Batesville at 9 p.m. to celebrate the release of their EP.
I'm sad that I'm going to miss the party.
I will be there, so if you attend and you're a faithful listener of Hoosier Myths and Legends, please come by and say hello to me. I would love to meet you.
Have you ever had an experience at Scales Lake? Are you familiar with the legend of Black Annie? We would love to hear about it. Please send us an email to HoosierMythsAndLegends.com or reach out to us on social media. We may use it in a later episode. In the email, let us know if you wish to remain anonymous.
see our source material, please visit our website, HoosierMythsAndLegends.com. Please find us and follow us on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, and now Twitter. Hoosier Myths and Legends is a Quigley Productions podcast.
Our theme song was written and recorded by Wet Blanket. The song title is Taxidermy Race Car.
As always, stay spooky.